Welcome to the New Planner Podcast, where it's all about helping you successfully enter the financial planning profession and accelerate your financial planning career. This podcast will help you understand the profession, become familiar with the various career paths available to you, and avoid the mistakes that limit your success. Join your host, Caleb Brown, to explore the human side of creating a successful planning career through interviews, personal experience, and insights from the trenches. Let's get started.
Welcome to the 206th episode of the New Planner Podcast. This is Caleb Brown, your host. My guest today is Augustus Christensen, who is the founder and CEO of Scoops. Augustus joins the show today to share how he got into wealth management. He shares his college journey from creating and selling an app to then working for the largest student-run credit union at Georgetown University. He went on to share the ins and outs of his first job out of college at JPMorgan and how that experience in wealth management led him to starting his own company, and why he is passionate about creating content and helping spread financial literacy. Stay tuned for some tips on starting your own firm and going down the entrepreneurial route. I hope you enjoy this episode with Augustus Christensen. Hey, Augustus, welcome to the New Planner Podcast.
Excellent. Hi, Caleb. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was checking you out and I think there's an interesting story here and we want to know about it. So there's some entrepreneurship in here. There's some financial advisor stuff, maybe even a family business, I think, somewhere. So maybe just start with sort of what got you into the financial planning, wealth management industry.
Yeah, my career kind of spans the map. And like you mentioned, I grew up in a small town landscaping family. My parents are both small business entrepreneurs. And what got me into finance originally was really trying to build a better understanding of the financial world. And then once I was in it, a lot of what's driven my career since then has been a desire to try and make it more accessible to the kinds of people I grew up with in my family. So my career started off really at a credit union. I've also built some tech startups and exited, and then really most of my career was spent at JPMorgan, where I went in a variety of roles. Most recently, I was portfolio manager working with institutional clients, endowments, foundations, and large institutional families as multi-asset portfolio manager, kind of an outsourced chief investment officer. And then I left that role a few years ago to build my new company, Scoops, with the goal of trying to make the financial world much more accessible. So it's a news and learning platform for individuals. And then we also help financial advisors, credit unions create content to engage their members and their individual clients.
Got it. And you said several times, I'm trying to make this more accessible. And
yeah,
does that mean like not just for high net worth people? Like, is that what you mean by that?
Just the information about the financial world, really understanding the economy, personal finance, investing, trying to make that information easier to find, but then also easier to understand. So much of that information is written for Wall Street people. It was written with a very stock-centric perspective. And so I started off really on social media, testing out, trying to find more ways to help people connect and engage with things, and found a way to make it a little bit more human-centric. So often, all of this is so incredibly important to people's lives, the economy, interest rates, borrowing, all of these things. It's very difficult for people to stay connected and stay engaged with it. And so everything that we do within content, try and make it a lot more personal and relatable. And, started that on social media and blew up to tens of thousands of followers in just the first year, really engaging people, and knew that I was onto something.
That's awesome. And I want to come back to that because I want to learn more about that. I think our audience is interested too. But can you go back to something you said earlier? You started as a credit union, I think, and then you started a couple firms and you had some exits. I mean, and then you went back, I think, JPMorgan. So I'm just interested between this employee sort of startup, sort of entrepreneur, like how have you been going in and out of that? That's interesting to me.
I'm always doing about a million things at a time. So the first stuff was I was still, in college and built my first mobile app that was kind of a social interaction app, and then exited that. But I was also working at a credit union, and the first one was actually entirely student-run credit union. It's the largest student-run credit union in the world. It was, tens of millions in assets run by, all entirely from teller to CEO students, which was just the coolest thing. And it's very entrepreneurial in and of itself. So you learn all sorts of different aspects of the marketing, of the member service, all the way to the treasury. I was in different roles, operations, ran the bank for a summer while I was, while with a small group. And so then after school, I went straight to JPMorgan, spent a long career there in a variety of roles.
The credit union, Georgetown, is that right? Is Georgetown? I'm looking on LinkedIn. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I wasn't aware of that it was the largest student run. So it sounds like a good experience.
It was awesome. I mean, it's a small to medium sized credit union across, when you compare it to a broader industry, and to be able to, be running an institution before the government really recognizes you as a fully functioning adult is pretty cool. The opportunity.
Well, and it looks like you went JPMorgan for about 8 years. I mean, were you building while you were there, or what? I mean, did you have the current firm sort of going alongside that, or was it kind of a clean break and then just starting from scratch?
Yeah, clean break. And then
Wow.
After, the stuff that I was doing at JPMorgan was mostly just on my personal, a lot of financial education aspect, because that's really where I built out, my understanding and studied this problem of financial literacy. I really talk about more like economic literacy, and did tutoring in different programs, and tried to get to the bottom of why people feel so uncomfortable talking about financial topics or engaging with them. And that's what led to my company, ShareScoops.
So you don't necessarily have a IT, or do you have an IT background?
So I was computer science and economics at Georgetown. So
there you go. Okay. I knew it was coding was in there somewhere, wasn't it? It's
in there, but I studied enough just to know that I wasn't very good at it. And it's, helped me as a project manager, understanding my engineers that I work with, the current company engineers in the building. So I'm not writing code anymore, but it definitely helps in, creating the structure of the idea, and, understanding what can be, what's easy to build, what's not, and working through problems and challenges with it.
Okay. So talk to us a little bit more about, I mean, it's like a Mashable. I mean, except for not IT, is that kind of or is that just totally wrong? How would you describe this? Scoops.
ShareScoops. So we have kind of two different aspects of it. Scoops is a news and education app for young professionals to help understand the economy and the companies that impact their lives. And so it's, for the financial professional, it's kind of like a pocket consumer Bloomberg, right? So you have data, profiles, and news on every single public company integrated with sort of gamified financial education. And then we engage people more by integrating live polling into all of the news so that people can react to what companies are doing, and we use that to create approval ratings on companies and like sentiment indicators. So it helps. And I found that if we can get people to sort of vote and react, it gets them over that psychological barrier that like this stuff isn't for me, and gets them on the on-ramp towards some level of financial activity. And so that's our free user-based app. But then also along the way, we've been partnering with a lot of financial institutions all the way up to Chase Wealth Management and creating content. And now we've been building out some of our professional content services from ShareScoops to help smaller institutions and individual advisors meet those massive demands of content, their social media posts, newsletters, in a much easier way by helping them generate individual bites that they can put together and create posts and newsletters in a fraction of the time.
Okay, so I'm a consumer. I'm just out here. I'm an IT guy, and I would sign up for ShareScoops to get the news and learn about the economy and the market. Did I hear
exactly.
that? Correct.
Yeah.
Why is that different than going to like Yahoo Finance or just Bloomberg.com?
A lot of it has to do with just the way that we deliver the information. So everything that we put together is a lot of time focused, one on the user experience of it, but also in writing the content. So all of it we can sort of translate into simpler, more, sort of human-centric language so that you can understand these things a little bit better, because that's the biggest barriers. This information is out there, but it's very difficult for your average person to pull up a CNBC article and really understand it. So it's accessible from, a digital perspective, but then, doesn't really necessarily make sense to people. So we try to basically translate out the jargon, make it more approachable, because these are topics that people want to understand. Everybody wants to understand what's going to happen to their home or their borrowing, to their job, right? But it's where they get that information is far too opaque for them to understand.
I like that. So you're taking what can be overwhelming and intimidating for some.
Exactly.
Even very sophisticated and highly educated people, right? And you're breaking it down into layman's terms.
Yeah. Well, that's I realize the problem. And, I'm sitting across the table from billionaires, titans of industry, who clam up when you start asking them about, a stock or the financial markets. And you realize that so much of this is just these psychological barriers that have been created in which financial information is just too complicated for you to understand on your own. And most of the people that are writing financial content are writing it for other financial people. So you lose a lot of that sort of natural human centricity of the information in the way that the content is delivered. I mean, even just looking at something like a jobs report, your average person reading a CNBC article won't understand why they're celebrating an increase in, the unemployment rate, right? It just the function and structure of the content is hard to understand, because it's all about how does this affect the stock market and not my wallet or my home or my life.
Okay. So the consumer, I sign up on the website, or I download the app, and then I can just scroll through, or you send me things based on my preferences. Is that the way it works?
Yeah, exactly. Every day you get a little update on what's happening in the economy, a couple sentences, a paragraph, and then also simplified news about companies and things that they're doing, not just what are their earnings reports, but how do they affect their employees, their communities, the planet, and the decisions they're making, so that you can start to see what is affecting the jobs market, where hiring is starting, what's affecting pricing of the products that you buy, or who is really leading the charge on sustainability, or limiting pollution, those kinds of things.
Got it. Sorry, I was actually signing up right then. So thanks for sure. And I'm really just curious. I mean, and share what you're able to, but like kind of behind the curtain, do you have like some of your econ buddies from school or financial advisors like taking this and sort of boiling it? I mean, how are you doing this? That seems like pretty time intensive.
We're a very small team, and we've gotten it to the point where it's pretty efficient for us when we use different AI tools to curate it and gather all this news and information, synthesize it for us. And then it's built a process of me and people that I've trained to look at this information and what kinds of things to pull from it and how to phrase it and simplify it into our tone. So we made it really much quicker. So we're putting out daily newsletters, tons of daily content on companies and the economy, simplifying basically every single economic event that happens throughout the week. And we're able to do that because of this process that we've created. And that's what we now are using as our second line of business, is because we're able to create an immense amount of content in it every single day in a pretty efficient fashion. So now we're helping other people do that by leveraging our tools and our process.
Okay. So there's really, like, I just signed up. There was no credit card. I didn't have to pay.
Not
so
free.
There's no fee on the consumer. And I think you were getting there. What's in it for new planners or financial advisors? Why would they participate in this?
So they're able to take, we basically categorize and pull together all of our streams of scoops and content and things that aren't on the app that we've used. And every day we're creating new streams of it, accessible economic bites and news, and with our templates, infographics, and visual content libraries to make it really simple so that they can pull together these pieces in, 30 seconds or so to create a social media post, to be able to create a weekly newsletter in about 5 minutes that sounds like something that they're writing, that again is in our proprietary sort of human-centric tone that people connect with. And what we found is that is able to create really strong engagement with a client, with a prospect, in a way that you really need in this day and age. You need to be able to be present and visible, but as a busy advisor trying to post every single day on social media or once a week a newsletter, no one really has the time for that. So this makes it much simpler for them to pull all these things together and be able to create quality content that drives business.
So like if my niche is equity compensation professionals, you guys have a whole library of stuff that's constantly changing, it sounds like, where I could just send that out to all of my client base in very little time. That's what I took from that.
Yeah, something similar to other, content platforms like Advisor Stream, right? Where those typical ones are, I say the main difference for us is being sort of pre-compliance versus post-compliance. And what we hear from a lot of advisors is that, there's all these articles you can reshare on these platforms, pre-made posts that you can blast out, but it doesn't really create any value for you and like connecting with your audience. It sounds like somebody else, and it's the same language that, sounds like your prepackaged financial, research. So for us, we're cutting down on all the time that would take if you wrote your social media post, your newsletter yourself, and being able to put together these individual, pieces of economic news that are updated throughout the day. And then also tons of perennial content, things that don't really change that much about how to improve your, budgeting, your spending, things like equity compensation. But all of the content that we created is based on all of our years of creating this content online and what the most popular questions are that we get from an online audience, from the professional millennials, Gen X. And then also we use Google search rankings to rank and rate all of the different types of topics and content, so that all of the users on our platform, these financial advisors, are able to say, here are the top things that people are worried about, and here is just what people are searching for, and here's a piece of content bite that I can just copy paste, edit if I want to, otherwise send it right out and know that this is what my audience wants to hear from. Because too often us, our profession is being smart and telling people how, what we know, right? So too often we just sort of want to post things and share what we find interesting, but it's not necessarily stuff that, your client is going to engage with or is really the top questions for them. So that's how we make sure that everything is aligned to what people want to hear.
Instead of spending all this time spinning your wheels guessing, I mean, it sounds like you're using a combination of big data, analytics, AI, and just sort of bringing all this together.
Exactly.
Okay, so now let's flip it around a little bit. So I hit you on the consumer side. Now I'm a financial advisor. So what do I do? How do I engage?
Yeah. So we kind of just talked about both sides of that, but what the service as a financial advisor, what you would be subscribing to is access to this platform to be able to access all of our visual library, customizable templates for infographics, charts, you name it. And then to be able to pull together all these updating content pieces and, blurbs, quick bites about, the jobs report, simplifying it into something that sounds like you just wrote your clients a nice brief paragraph update, pull that together with an explanation on what the Federal Reserve does. And now you've got a great client communication you can send out to blast your clients, create a weekly newsletter in 5 minutes or a social post in a couple of seconds. So that's what we're helping financial advisors do, is really cut down on being able to create more content that is demanded by your prospects and your clients in a fraction of the time.
And I mean, I think you're onto something, because creating, I mean, I'm a content creator, and it takes a lot of time.
Takes so much time.
Effort. It's like, do I really want to, this is a lot of work. But there's results there, right? So It sounds like you're just trying to help them streamline. Okay, so I'm an advisor. I sign up, I get access to all this, and I guess is there a monthly fee, or is it like number of clicks, or how does it work?
Exactly. Yeah. Just a monthly, subscription fee, based on, what you gain access to. But like you said, it's so important to have this content now. It's like, 10 years ago, if you didn't have a website, no one's going to buy from you, right? You don't exist. Yeah. Now it's, especially in such a trust-based business as advisors, the main thing people are looking for, to build trust, is they're going to content and they're going to what your digital presence is. So as an advisor, it's so critical to have that presence online. But also, one thing I've been helping with is newsletters as a hugely valuable pipeline for you, to be able to create a list of people that are coming to you every week for your insights as a financial advisor. That's a hot ready pipeline for new clients that are already coming to you for a fraction of what you can offer. Now, when it's time to take an action on something, you can make a really quick, easy offer by being in front of them with just high value content.
I'm on the website right now. Is there like multiple just what's approximately the monthly cost, just so we have an idea?
Yeah. So if you're an individual advisor, the monthly cost is this, for the starter package is about $100 a month. And for the, full with the economic updates and news bites, about $200 a month. And then you can also expand it for your broader firm as well. Yeah, multiple users.
Got it. Okay. Understood. So you kind of have the basic option, $100 a month, the advanced and accelerated, exactly. 200. Okay. That makes sense. And then if you have other advisors in your firm, there's another sort of incremental cost associated with that. Okay. That makes sense. Awesome stuff. I mean, can you just, talk to us about sort of the engagement, or how's it? Because you've only been doing, this is, I don't know, 3.5 years. Does that sound right? Is that how long you've been doing it?
Yeah, that's what we've been doing it on the, free on the user side, and been building out that, but we just launched, is like I said, it's been a process of how do we create all this content so regularly, so more efficiently. And so now we've nailed that process down, and we just really this summer launched this new service for financial advisors for our whole content platform. But before that, we've been doing custom stuff for, all sorts of different institutions, even like I mentioned, Chase Wealth Management, creating custom content for their platform and all sorts of different, financial apps and things like that. But the engagement's been great. We have built a really strong community across all of our social media, our newsletters, and now we're rolling out. We've been in beta with our mobile app, and we're rolling that out now this fall, and hoping to scale that to even more users.
And did you say earlier the compliance? This is all approved for the compliance if somebody has a broker dealer?
This is pre-compliance, right? So the same way you would go to write a newsletter yourself, but we're taking you all the way to that final editing step. You're no longer thinking of your ideas, drafting it, redrafting it, trying to make it shorter, trying to make it more accessible, and tailoring it to what's happening in the market, all of that kinds of things. So that 90% of that work that you would have to do to write something from scratch yourself, we're helping take you there to that final point.
Got it. This is really interesting, Augustus. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing this. Maybe just one final question. Where are you trying to take this platform? What would be an ideal goal for you? What do you try to do with this?
Well, on the user side, it's all about every incremental person that, for me, it's, more users, because that just means more incremental people that we're helping understand, and what's happening in the economy, and empower them to make, have agency over their financial decisions. So that's driven everything from the start for me, as just trying to make this accessible, and, found different business opportunities along the way.
Just because you got a couple different angles, employee angle, sort of entrepreneur. Anybody that's, thinking about that, maybe they're at JPMorgan. Let's start there first. And they want to come over to the RIA side, or they want to do something like what, any tips for them?
In terms of, making the jump to start your own business?
Yeah.
Well, for me is, test things out, and, test every single assumption that you possibly have, and, try and get to something before, you really pour too much into it. Not saying that as like a regret, but also make, just that you're going to change everything. That's so much. So, I just had a core problem that I was trying to solve, and I just tried to get content out there, get feedback, see how people interacted with it. And a lot of what I've built has been just responding to, what people, how they reacted and interacted with, the content or the services or the functionality that I put out there.
Gotcha. Anything else you'd like to share with the audience before we close out?
I think if there's new financial advisors out there that are looking to build, their pipeline in an easier way, and want to try and get more digital content out there, definitely check us out at sharescoops.com and check out our professional content services. We'll get you set up with newsletters, social posts, everything, and happy to share all my scars and experience with digital content.
Thanks for coming on, Augustus. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the New Planner Podcast. If you're ready to discover the top career paths for financial planners and see which track is best for you, we created a free guide to help you. Grab your copy of the Financial Planner Career Roadmap at newplannerrecruiting.com/roadmap. There, you'll also find more tools and resources all created to help you build a successful financial planning career. Tune back in next week for another episode, and until then, we're here to help you succeed.